All right, so here we are in sunny California. Think back to a year ago. You were a billionaire who was dabbling in politics, a flash in the pan. There was this woman who was supposed to be coronated, and now everything is backwards. This woman who was supposed to be coronated is fighting Bernie Sanders and in a tie, dead heat here in California. How'd you do it?
Well, it's been an interesting journey. I mean, it started in June 16th of last year, and it's just been a succession of, we've had so many victories. You know, we had 17 people totally running, and it's been an amazing period of time. I guess a lot of people say that. I'm not the only one, but I fought a good fight, and I beat a lot of people that are good people, and now I have one left. It'll probably be Crooked Hillary, she's crooked as you get. And it'll probably be her, and we're going to see what happens.
And I think it was in August of 2015 when you were on my show, Justice, and we talked about the RNC, and you demanded that they treat you fairly. Was the whole issue about the third-party run thing, wasn't that part of the treat me fairly issue?
Well, it was, but, you know, we're going to see what happens. I don't think there'll be a third party, or certainly not a credible third party. Right now you have the Libertarians. I don't see that. I know the people, and I don't see that as being much of a threat. You have...
but have they treated you fairly? If
yes, the RNC has treated me fairly. They don't really control. There's some wacko, like, you know, these characters that are trying to put on...
Bill Wells.
Well, I'm not even talking about them. I'm talking about a couple of other guys that, you know, fringe.
Oh.
They want to put on somebody. Well, I won't even mention the name. You want to give them as little publicity as possible. But I don't think that'll have much of an impact.
So you feel the RNC has treated you fairly?
I do. I think Reince has been very good. I think that, you know, it's not easy. Don't forget, he was looking at 18, and actually it was probably at the highest point, 18 people. And they were governors and they were senators. Not everybody agrees with everything I'm doing. I want the wall. I want certain things to happen. A lot of people agree with me. You know, the interesting thing, Jeanine, is that I've gotten right now more votes than anybody in the history of the Republican Party. So I went through the process. We did well in Iowa, and then after that it was just a succession of victories with New Hampshire and South Carolina, everywhere. But the big story is everybody's come aboard. I mean, if you look at people that were absolutely horrible in terms of what they said, they're now aboard.
How do you feel about that? I mean, do you trust people who were just horrible to you?
Well, politicians can pivot much more easily than, let's say, a person like me can pivot. You know, they pivot. I mean, they can say horrible things, and then 2 weeks later...
But how does a person like you react?
like Rick Perry's a good guy. He's always been a good guy. But he was very nasty during the election, and then he got out, and then he endorsed me. I didn't speak to him. He endorsed me, and he said the nicest things. He said that Donald Trump is maybe the smartest person ever to run for the office.
Without
a nice statement.
Without.
That was a long way from what he was before. And I'll tell you what, I fully understand what he's doing and what he did, and I like him a lot. And other people have likewise. You know, they said this was a very heated battle. There are those that say, you would know better maybe than most, but there are those that say it was the most vicious battle for the nomination that any party has ever seen.
Over the years,
so I don't know. But
Donald, over the years, you kind of dabbled in the idea of, you know, running for president. Is it what you thought it would be?
It's more vicious. It's there's more lying and deception than ever. I never thought there'd be this kind of lying. But the lying and deception, the smiling, and then the knife in the back. And I deal with tougher people because the business world at the top they're tougher. But in a certain way, they're more honorable. The deceit and the disgusting media, because the media is very dishonest. Not all of it, of course, but so much of it is dishonest. The Washington Post is very, very dishonest.
Well, and I want to get to that, but you know, you have been the most accessible candidate in history in terms of the press, and yet you believe that many of them are not treating you fairly. Are you now going to limit your accessibility?
No. Look, I will say this. There are some that are really bad. Washington Post is really dishonest, really, really dishonest.
Why are they so much against you?
Because they think that I, frankly, you want to know the truth, is the person that bought it has a big stake in Amazon, and Amazon's not paying taxes, and I've said openly that they should be paying taxes, and they're also destroying the retail industry throughout the country. I don't care about that, other than it's not a good thing to happen to our country, and I've said it. And they're going to be a monopoly. You look at the department stores, what's happening to them. They're going down the drain because Amazon is becoming a monopoly. And they know, and he bought that as a tool for himself, like a lobbyist. But the Washington Post has 22 reporters on me. There's never a good story. I mean, you know, I could win by the biggest margins in history, and they'll say Donald Trump should have done better.
Well,
they are a very dishonest group. New York Times is very dishonest. I mean, New York Times is a very dishonest newspaper. I would say the Washington Post is worse. But I'm not talking about they're unfair. I'm talking they're purely dishonest. Things that they know. I mean, as an example, I raised for veterans almost $6 million. And I think more will be coming in, but I raised almost $6 million. I thought that was a positive story. I mean, I paid a lot of it out early, but some came in, and we had to vet the situation. Okay. Instead of a positive story, think of it. I raised almost $6. It was $5.6 million. I think more is going to come in.
Sure.
But I gave to many, many groups. You saw me reading the list. Yes. 100,000 here, 250,000, 1 million to one group.
Why were you so agitated that day?
Because I thought I was treated very unfairly. When you raise, I never thought this was a possibility that could be a bad story. Mm-hmm. That was a terrible story for me. They said, oh, we should have given the money out faster. I get up to make a speech. I say, let's raise some money for the vets. I didn't have any obligation to do it. I get up, I make a speech. I say, let's get some money. I have one friend in the audience. He's a rich guy. He gave $1 million. I have another one that gave Carl Icahn, gave $500,000. We had great people. They gave money. Ike Perlmutter gave money.
But in the end, you won, Donald.
No.
You think it's a bad story.
But I get treated unfairly. Now, I think, here's the good news. I have a speaker that gets, you know, I can fight back a little bit, okay? It's very tough to fight the press when it's very dishonest, but I have a speaker that I can fight back. I think the people, I have had so many letters from the vets and calls to my office and emails and everything you can imagine, tweets. Mm-hmm. I mean, the tweeting has become a big thing. I will say, I have had so many tweets and Facebook where the vets are thanking me so much for what I did. But here's the thing. When you raise $5.6 million and you're excoriated by these people, why wasn't it given fast enough? Why wasn't this? Why wasn't
not like you're not running for president?
Well, first of all, I had no obligation even to do it. Honestly, from a PR standpoint, I would have been much better if I never did anything. If I never gave all those groups, I gave many, I don't even know how many, but many groups, great groups, I gave them money, a lot of money, you know, more money than they've probably seen.
Well, look,
they wake up and they get a check for $100,000. Another one gets a check for $250,000. And instead of being treated nicely, I was treated badly. So,
do you
to me,
ever
that's
think
unfair.
you can go like this and just say, I'm going to just...
Yes, I do. When I'm wrong, I tell you, I can take criticism better than any human being.
You can, and I want to talk about that. I was on an airplane with you, your plane. I'll bet it was 15 years ago. And you were sitting next to me, and you were reading, I think it was a New York Times magazine. I have a vivid recollection. And I had already read it. It was a story about you. And I was in politics at the time, and I'm sitting there, and I'm just kind of watching you. There wasn't a grimace. Your brow didn't move. It didn't change your temperament. How'd you get so tough?
Well, it's not a question of tough. When I am wrong and they write about it, I can take that better than anybody. I agree with them. I have no problem. But when they write falsely, they write so many false things, and you understand that because I know you did the political thing, and I know you even went against Hillary for a period of time.
A few weeks.
She's a major liar. They talk about foreign policy that Donald Trump wants Japan to get nukes immediately. I don't want that. I want Japan to pay us because we're protecting them. And if they don't pay us, you have to be prepared to walk. And if you walk, they're going to arm. Now, how they're going to arm, that's going to be up to them. But I never say Japan should nuke. But it's so false.
But what Hillary is saying about you is that you're a loose cannon. The world order is going to change. You're a fraud. You're a scam. Is she picking up your way of handling campaigning?
She's trying to.
And tweeting?
She's trying to pick it up. But look, Hillary is incompetent. You know that by just look at her past record. Look at Libya. Look at what happened with Benghazi. Look at what happened with so many different things that she's done. Everything she's done.
So why do people support her?
It's almost out of habit, if you ask me. It's almost out of habit. It's like, why do you keep eating popcorn when it doesn't taste good? Okay? It's like a habit. Boom, boom. and the same thing with her. She's a habit.
Okay.
And you know what? It's time now. I think people are fed up with the Hillarys of the world. I think they're fed up with Obama, who is one of the worst presidents ever. I think they're fed up when they look at the Iran deal, when they look at the fact that China is just ripping us off in trade, ripping us, Mexico ripping us, or taking all of our companies.
And they call you a racist because you want to make America first. Okay, New York Times, quote, "The rise of Donald Trump tracks growing debate on global fascism." And Washington Post, that you just talked about, op-ed, "This is how fascism comes to America." Where's that coming from?
I don't get it, but it's a vicious group of people. It's on the left of where I am, and I'm sure where you are. But it's a vicious group of people. And frankly, I have to say, the one thing, they stick together. The Republican conservatives do not stick together. You have a guy like Bill Kristol, who's a total lightweight, but he's out there trying to find an independent candidate. You know, he's out there trying to find an independent candidate. Can't find anybody.
What does that tell you about how desperate the establishment is?
They're desperate. The Republicans do not stick together the way the Democrats do, and I give them credit for that. I give them credit for that. You look, I mean, even Bernie and Hillary, they're running, but it's a much friendlier battle, certainly, than we had as battles. You know, he doesn't want to talk as much about the emails, although now he's starting to talk about. She's got a real problem. Look, that's a criminal problem that she's got. She's got a real problem. So, you know, she can talk all she wants, but if the administration is honest, there's no way she can run.
Well, look at Petraeus. I mean, he had to pay the price, but
for doing much less.
It's been said that you are in a movement that people are speaking through you. How is it that a blue blood New York Ivy Leaguer with a silver tongue, it captures the loyalty, the imagination of the working class?
Well, it's been an amazing process, and I understand it. I understood it a long time ago, and people are talking about it. They're saying, here's this guy who lives on Fifth Avenue, and he's really rich, and he you know. But when I was a young guy, my father built houses in Brooklyn and Queens, and I would go to those building sites, and I'd work with the men. In that case, it was always men. I mean, today it's men and women.
You hired
but I went, and I was one of the first people to do that, to hire women. And I got no credit for it, but these are, you know, minor details. What are you going to do? But I was literally in the construction industry. I was literally the first. Okay. So I would work with these people, and I would get along with them great. I loved them. They were tough. They'd fight at lunchtime. I mean, they'd have fist fights over something. But I got along with them great. And for some reason, I mean, I honestly like them much better than the rich people. It's very interesting. And the rich people know it.
Why?
I don't know. I think they're more real. There's less phoniness. But, you know, you can call them blue collar, you can call them, they're like, they're workers.
Well, yeah.
They're workers. And by the way, some of them are very successful people, and they've become very successful because, you know, it is a movement, but it's a movement of everybody.
What is the movement?
It's a movement of people that are tired of seeing stupid decisions made in our country that are destroying our country, where our companies are leaving, our jobs, our people are being fired, where people haven't had a pay. When you talk about blue collar, they haven't had a pay increase in 18 years, an effective pay increase in 18 years. It's a group of people that are tired of stupidity. It's a group of people that want common sense, and they want to win again. We don't win anymore. We don't win with our military. We can't beat ISIS.